Hello everybody, welcome to the Java course. In addition to the try, catch, finally blocks, we have another approach called try, finally block that can help me handle the exception. What does it mean by that? Since I don't include the catch keyword, it means that the exception, if happens, cannot be caught and it cannot be handled. And since the exception cannot be caught, it will still show up in the console. And whether or not the exception occurs, the finally block will still be executed. So let us see an example of the try finally blocks. Suppose I want the user to input an integer. So before doing so, I need to create a scanner object. Okay, I need to import the scanner class first. Now I can use the scanner class, and the actual parameter of the scanner constructor is system.in. That means I want to accept the user input from the keyboard. And if I want to save the value coming from the user input, I need to create a variable. Okay, A is the variable which is going to store an integer value. So now I give a prompt to the user. Okay. Usually we can simply do something like this in order to accept the user input. The next int method simply receives the value coming from the user input. And I would like to store the value obtained to variable A, and then I want to print out the value obtained from the user input by using this printing statement. But since the next int method cannot guarantee that the user really gives the computer an integer, this can be the source of an exception. So in this case, I can make a try block to see if the next int method cannot accept an integer. There should be some mechanism to handle this situation. Okay, and then I would like to use the try finally blocks. That means I don't want to catch any kind of exception during the user input process governed by the next int method. So what can I do now? I can do the finally block directly. Okay, the finally block simply tells the user that this is the end of the program, and the finally block also closes the scanner object that I created at the beginning of the driver program. So what does it mean by that? Since the catch block is not present, whether or not the exception occurs from the next int method, the finally block will still be executed. So I try to add something more after the finally block as my remaining part of the program. Okay, I would like to see whether this part can be executed. Can this line be executed? It depends. If the exception occurs and if at the same time it is not caught, the following parts after the finally block will not be executed. The reason is that if you have an exception, the exception will be shown up directly, and when the exception shows up, the code after the finally part will not be executed. So let us try to run the program to see the effect. Save it, run it. Suppose I enter an integer called 5. When the next int method receives a value of 5, there should be no problem. I can still do the printing because this part won't throw an exception. And I can also do the finally part because this part is the component that is always executed no matter the exception occurs or not. And after the finally block, I'm able to do the rest of my program in the driver class. Okay, that means the statement here can be printed. But how about the situation when I enter a value that is not an integer? Let me do it. I say hello, enter. Okay, when I press enter, I can see that the exception occurs, which is called input mismatch exception, given by the nextInt method. So in this case, the exception will be shown up directly, which is these lines, okay, and I can know that line number 15 causes the exception to be shown on the console. And you can see that I'm able to do the finally part here. See you next time as the finally block. Okay. And how about the code after the finally block? You can see that I can't show the printing statement at the end of the driver program. The reason is that when the exception is thrown to the console, the remaining part of the program after the finally block will not be executed. That means this line cannot be printed. So that's the reason why we need to be very careful of the catching action of your exception handling. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions about my video, feel free to leave your comments on the comment section below the video. If you like this video, please give me a like and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.